toughest place to visit in the NBA, the Boston Garden. When you come here, you take on more than just a team. You challenge an entire city. The tradition of the green and white, Celtic pride. And it's never more evident than at playoff time. You don't have to tell the New York Knicks about the aura of Boston Garden. They haven't won on this parquet floor since February of 1984. Thursday night, the frustration continued in Game 1. And now with a streak at 25 games, the Knicks can ill afford any more mistakes in Beantown. For Stu Jackson, the time to win is now. But don't expect any Celtic letdown. This city and this building just won't allow it. From the Boston Garden, welcome to the 1990 NBA playoffs on CBS. This afternoon, Game 2, an Eastern Conference first-round encounter, the New York Knicks and the Boston Celtics. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Vern Lundquist, and welcome to the beginning of our NBA coverage on CBS in 1990. Thus far, it has been advantageous to have the home court advantage in the playoffs. In the Eastern Conference as well as the West, the home team won every first game in the series. Here in Boston on Thursday night, a quietly proficient triple-double from Larry Bird. 24 points, 18 rebounds, 10 assists. Field goal percentage, the Knicks were simply awful in the second half when they missed 11, and they also were out-rebounded as well as outshot throughout. It is a real pleasure to welcome back to my side Billy Cunningham. Billy, we hear so much in the playoffs in the NBA about adjustments. What adjustments do you expect today?
Well, I think with the Celtics, all they're looking to do today is to refine some things. Number one, do a better job handling the basketball, not committing silly turnovers. The other thing is having patience at the offensive end of the court and getting it into their big people. Now, the Knickerbockers, interesting, they feel good about themselves. After looking at those amount of foul shots they've missed, that they have a chance. They have to, though, become more physical inside, and also they got to run, and run.
So it's the Knicks and the Boston Celtics on a very warm day at the Boston Garden. Back with the starting lineups in a moment. 451st consecutive sellout at the Boston Garden. Let's meet the starting lineups now. First of all, for the visiting New York Knicks, Kiki Vandeweghe and Kenny Walker will start at the wings. In the backcourt, Mo Cheeks and Gerald Wilkins, and at center, Patrick Ewing, 22 points in Game 1 the other night. In his first year as head coach, 34-year-old Stu Jackson. And for the Boston Celtics, Larry Bird and Kevin McHale. In the backcourt, it's Dennis Johnson and Reggie Lewis. And at center, the 7-footer Robert Parrish. And in his second full season as head coach of the Boston Celtics, Jimmy Rogers. Also joining us throughout the playoffs is Leslie Visser. Let's get an update from Leslie.
Vern, in the huddle just now, both coaches took a matter-of-fact approach to this game. Jimmy Rogers told his troops to be alert to pressure early and to get out to a good defensive start. On the other end, Stu Jackson said that they had to be prepared for a more physical battle this time and also not to get lost mentally. Now, we all know that the Knicks haven't won here in almost 6 years. I think it's interesting and maybe prophetic that the big movie back in 1984 was Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
It's been that.
I didn't get a chance to see that Temple of Doom.
You played in it right here.
Yeah.
Robert Parrish, the officials today, Earl Strom in his final season, Tommy Nunez and Paul Mihalik. We're underway. Kenny Walker loses the tip. It goes to Reggie Lewis. Celtics in white going from left to right. They trailed at halftime in Game 1 by 2 despite shooting 61%. And this man, Dennis Johnson, had a big game. 14 points.
Well, we see two contrasting styles. The Celtics, they're going to look to pound it inside anytime they get a chance.
Larry Bird to Kevin McHale after the fine pump fake.
And right here we see the Knicks trying to up-tempo the basketball game. They're a smaller, quicker team.
Gerald Wilkins is fouled as he dishes inside to Patrick Ewing. And Kiki Vandeweghe will inbound now for the New York Knicks. There's the pick and roll, and Wilkins takes the shot. First for New York, rims out. Kevin McHale with the rebound.
I think that's the key matchup of this game today. Gerald Wilkins and Lewis. Lewis has been killing the Knicks during the course of the regular season. Wilkins has not had a big game against the Celtics.
Here's Lewis over Wilkins, and he hits his first two. Reggie Lewis, who had 34 in the last game between these two here in regular season 2 weeks ago. Here's Ewing, about 18 feet out. A good job of denial by Robert Parrish, but a nice job by Ewing.
Oh, what a shot right there by Ewing. And you can see right off the bat, the Celtics are not looking to double team down on Patrick Ewing. They have that much confidence in the defensive ability of Robert Parrish.
Is that a surprise, Bill?
It is, but one of the reasons is they're concerned about their rotation defensively. If they do double, they're not quick enough.
Off the glass, Kevin McHale. It's 6-2 Boston, 10-30. And quickly up the court as they try and force the pace, is the way Stu Jackson called it. He said, we're not trying to dictate tempo. We want to force the pace. Here's Walker. Rebound, Parrish.
That's not the shot that they need. They need someone that can shoot the ball. Walker's got to rebound and run to the court.
McHale calling for the ball with Parrish, or over Walker, rather. And there's the rebound to Parrish. He'll shoot a couple.
Something if you're a Knickerbocker fan or Stu Jackson, you just can't allow to happen, where Parrish is just moseying down the court and he just has the ability to go get the offensive rebound. No one putting a body on him.
Robert Parrish, who is the least successful of a very successful free throw shooting team. He gets the first. Parrish shooting 75% for the season. The team shooting 83%, set a new NBA record for free throw success in 1989-90. 8-2 quickly. Boston out by 6.
Another factor for the Knickerbockers offensively, they cannot stand around and watch. They have to be penetrating, cutting to the basket, opening the court up.
Vandeweghe gets 2 over Kevin McHale. Now Dennis Johnson. Back to Johnson, top of the key, too strong. Offensive rebound, Parrish. Strong to the basket, and Walker fouls it.
Well, there's two cases where Patrick Ewing did not do the job on the defensive boards. And there's a case also we can see what the defensive strategy of the Knickerbockers is. And they're going to double McHale every time he touches the ball, and they're going to say to Dennis Johnson, you have to beat us from the perimeter. But Dennis Johnson's heard that for 7 years now. Now there's Ewing. You see, he did not have a body. He was just reaching for that on Parrish, and he was reaching for the rebound, which allowed Parrish to get in there.
Parrish gets the first free throw of the 2, and you saw Charles Oakley make his appearance. Oakley missed the last 17 games of regular season with that broken left hand. He played 16 minutes of game 1, but his timing was off. He grabbed only 2 rebounds.
Interesting to see the coach, Stu Jackson. He's not waiting. He realizes today they have to go out and, if necessary, play players 48 minutes to try and win this ball game.
He said he might use Ewing as many as 45 today. Here's Cheeks. Not there. Loose ball foul. I think it's against Charles Oakley. Let's see.
Yeah, it's Charles Oakley going to the offensive boards, but that's not bad for the Knickerbockers. He's making a statement that they're not going to be pushed around on the inside on the boards. He's going to pound them. And we saw the 2 offensive rebounds by Parrish. Stu Jackson was not going to wait for it. He wants that physical presence inside.
Well, the offensive rebounding has been a real problem since Oakley went out. There's Reggie Lewis, again with Wilkins starting. Bird. Shot doesn't fall, but Vandeweghe picks up the foul. And Larry Bird will go to the free throw line, where yet again this year he was outstanding with a 93% average. Matter of fact, we talked about this free throw percentage. Larry Bird set a new club record this year, breaking the mark held by Bill Sharman from back in the late 50s. Bird, who missed all but 6 games last year, said he really couldn't wait for the regular season to be over to get back in the playoffs, and a rare miss for Larry Bird.
Well, you'll find that so often with veteran teams like the Celtic ball club. They know what it's all about, and they're trying to win another championship.
Vandeweghe, Oakley. That's what they've been missing, is that offensive rebound.
That physical presence. You know, this is some front line the Celtics have when you look at Parrish, 7 feet tall, McHale with those long arms. He's over 7 feet tall, and Bird is 6'9". They need someone that's going to pound.
Charles Oakley, as we said, missed that last 17. Rebound margin, they were +2 with him in the lineup, and without him, they were down 4, and that's considerable.
And one of the problems for the Knicks is for rebounding, especially Patrick Ewing. He's always trying to block the shot, so he's never in that good defensive rebounding position to rebound, whereas Oakley, he knows he can't block the shot, so he concentrates on the defensive boards.
1 of 2 at the Knick end. It's an 11-5 game, under 9 minutes to go in the first quarter of play. Reggie Lewis.
I was a little surprised to see no defensive pressure full court from the Knickerbockers.
The answer at the other end comes from Kiki Vandeweghe.
Another point with this tempo the Knicks are coming out with is, does the heat become a factor here in the Boston Garden? And they expect it to be close to 100 degrees.
Nice move by Lewis in the paint. 15-7. Well, Bill, the Knicks are forcing the tempo more than we saw the other night. They're trying to get this thing at enough tempo pace.
And they must do it.
Wilkins. He'll shoot a couple.
And a couple reasons, Vern. Number one, the size. They have the quickness. They're not a good set offensive ball club because the only option they really look to when they go to the set offense is Patrick Ewing.
Robert Parrish was told of talking about the heat here, and he said, well, I was raised in the South. I'm used to it. It's not going to be a problem. But it might be debilitating more for the Celtics, I think, than the Knicks.
As long as the game is close.
Right.
And they can keep this tempo up. And we know that one thing, the Knicks probably have to have a deeper bench than the Celtics, so that could be a big factor as we go along.
Matter of fact, in Game 1, the Knicks had 41 points off their bench, most from Johnny Newman and Trent Tucker. And Jimmy Rogers and the Celtics has gone primarily to an 8-man rotation now, and he doesn't have that much offensive weaponry from the Celtic bench. Oakley on Bird. There's triple team. McHale got poked in the eye.
Well, one thing that happens when they put that full court pressure on the Knickerbockers, that is, when the Celtics break it down, there's a lot of mismatches, and at that time it was McHale matched up against Gerald Wilkins, and there's several inches he's giving up. Now here you see the mismatch. Bird making that pass into McHale. McHale seeing the contact and just going up and throwing the basketball to the hoop.
Vandeweghe called for the foul, his second 15 foul, and Kevin McHale goes to the line. Let's see where that happened again.
Well, here you see Kiki coming over. You see Ewing. He's triple teamed on that play. Oh, and he got hit right in the eye. That's the problem when you have a mismatch with a guard on a big man.
Jimmy Rogers goes to his bench and gives Robert Parrish a rest. And that brings on Joe Klein, who's been a fine defensive addition, giving Parrish a chance to rest this year.
And a big factor, Parrish told us yesterday that he's healthier, feels fitter mentally than he has in years. And the reason, because Joe Klein has allowed him to reduce his minutes on the court.
Foul away from the ball. It's an illegal defense called on the Boston Celtics. So that's the first, a warning. Next one results in a technical. 17-9, Boston. They jumped out to an 8-2 lead and haven't been threatened since.
But that's not too bad. I wouldn't be as concerned because the Knicks are trying to do what they wanted to do with their game plan.
There's Ewing and Klein, and they're going to get Joe Klein. Big, rough 7-footer out of the University of Arkansas. Joe started his collegiate career at Notre Dame and then went to Sacramento in the NBA draft. Field goal percentage thus far, 3 of 6 for New York. Boston, 5 of 7. Wilkins tried to adjust, and McHale forced him to alter the shot.
He's a streak player at the offensive end of the court, and if he doesn't get going quickly, I would imagine Stu Jackson will bring Tucker in.
He really is probably the least effective in the half-court game, wouldn't you say?
He has to get to the open court.
Reggie Lewis, 2 more. And Reggie Lewis has a quick 8. It's a 10-point lead. Oakley. 1 shot and out.
Yep, too quick. You want to force the tempo, but you want to make sure it's a good shot for that player, and that's not for Charles Oakley.
2-on-2. Wilkins lays it off for Oakley. The ball is stripped. New York's ball inbound. And time has been called here in the Garden. The first of a big ovation for the New York Celtics, up by 10. The Boston Celtics. We're going to be with you every Saturday and Sunday from now until a 1990 NBA champion is crowned. And the Boston Celtics, you got it, they lead New York. And the rebounding edge is overwhelming early on.
There's that physical presence. You know, they're not getting to the offense or the defensive boards. Thank goodness Charles Oakley is coming to the game because no one's gotten a hand on a rebound other than him.
Cheeks, Oakley, Gerald Wilkins, and Johnny Newman join Patrick Ewing, and there's the fight with Ewing and Klein. This time Ewing wins the battle to get into the low post, and then misfires on the shot.
Yeah, but he had the good position, but McHale came over from the weak side and forced him to alter his shot.
It's still Lewis, McHale, Johnson, Parrish, and Klein now. Rather, Bird and Klein. And there's a foul away from the ball.
One thing in regards to Gerald Wilkins, he cannot stop looking at the basket and looking for his shot, because for this team to have any chance of beating the Celtics today, they're going to need a good offensive ball game from him.
Larry Bird goes back to the free throw line. Wilkins with the foul.
Larry Bird has 2 shots.
And the lead is 11. Mo Cheeks. He and Kiki Vandeweghe came into the starting lineup for this New York team about a month and a half ago. Here's Cheeks off the glass and in.
That's what he has to do, be very aggressive at the offensive end of the court. In the first game, Dennis Johnson was able to shut that down and not allow that penetration. Here's the half-court trap.
And Jimmy Rogers says we don't mind the half-court trap at all. Look at the pump fake by Bird and Ewing with a foul.
You know, something very interesting Jimmy Rogers told us about how the Celtics will attack the trap, which surprised me, because in most cases when a team traps, teams look to get the ball into the middle near the foul line and then look for somebody for the open jump shot or take it to the basket. He feels because of the Knicks wanting to get into an up-tempo game, they want to show even more patience trying to get the ball inside to their big people unless they have an easy layup.
The lead is 12, 23-11, 6 minutes to go in the first quarter of play.
It's difficult to get out and run the way the Knicks would like to unless they can do something at the defensive end of the court, and they haven't been able to do it to this point.
Newman, there's the switch, the behind-the-back pass. Nicely done, and Oakley gets 2.
That was a great pass to Oakley. Now, Newman came off the bench and really sparked this team in game 1 at the latter part of the first period. They need that from him today.
Johnny Newman had 22 off the bench here Thursday night. Reggie Lewis on fire. That's a miss, and it'll go the other way.
But you see right there how important Charles Oakley is to this team. There were 3 Celtics on the offensive boards, 1 Knickerbocker, Charles Oakley. Other people have to realize, hey, I have to stick my nose in there and get on the defensive glass.
Is it just a matter of attitude?
It is. It's a mentality. And I know, as Stu Jackson told us, this is something we're going to have to do. And even though you're outsized, there's a ball club, the guards, the big people, everyone have to get to the defensive glass.
Well, the free throw woes continue for this New York Knicks team. They missed 11 in the second half, and they are 3 of 5 in the early going here.
You can see on that left hand of Charles Oakley, he broke that hand about 6 weeks ago. He's only had a chance to practice twice, but he says that the protective measures and bandage they put on that hand have not hindered his ball handling.
Johnny Newman went up to get the rebound away from McHale, and it's out of bounds off McHale, so New York will have another opportunity. 5:29 to go. First quarter of play, Boston up by 2. This is a Boston team that won 9 of its last 10 in regular season. Ewing gets the roll.
I think Patrick should realize now how they're playing him defensively, that the help isn't coming down to help him. So when he catches the ball in that area, he should make his move a lot quicker and beat any type of defense.
There's McHale tracking it down, takes the baseline jumper and hits it. And the lead is back to 10 at 25-15. Johnny Newman. Nice finger roll.
And attacking the basket, not settling for the jump shot.
25-17. Dennis Johnson. Low post. Back to Klein. Travel.
Well, right there, the tables were reversed. Dennis Johnson was posting up and getting the double team and throwing it out to someone else to shoot the basketball, but Joe Klein walked.
That's the second Boston turnover. They lead it by 8, 25-17. Three-pointer for Johnny Newman.
Oh, that's the type of spark, and there's the steal by Cheeks.
And it'll be New York's ball. Maurice Cheeks, who played for Billy Cunningham on the championship team in '83.
It's amazing what he's been able to overcome.
That's what he said yesterday.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Maurice Cheeks. And the double down on Ewing. And Bird goes back. Nice pass from Ewing to Oakley, and then Oakley misses the shot.
And you know what that is? It's just his timing and feeling for the game raw, not being out for 6 weeks. But that was a great move by Charles and a good pass. Should have had the 2 points.
And it brings to mind something Steve Jackson said yesterday. We've got to get Patrick to pass it back on the double team. Here's Johnson. 27-20, 3:50 to go. Wilkins off the pick from Ewing, the roll, and there's Patrick Ewing with the 15-footer. Got it.
You can see and feel the Knicks getting into a comfortable rhythm at the offensive end of the court. They're moving the basketball. They're taking good shots every time down.
They trail by as many as 12 early on. Larry Bird gives Boston a 7-point edge.
Well, there's Larry Bird just outsmarting Newman off that pick and roll.
Wilkins has the shot rejected, but then gets the rebound and puts it in.
That's the way Gerald Wilkins has to play to be effective. He's got to get up and down the court and be in that open court because he's such a good athlete and creative.
Dennis Johnson with Ewing and Cheeks on it. McHale calls for it underneath. Bird takes it. And Ewing gets the rebound. In the backcourt, Oakley gave Johnson a poke and got caught. That foul on Charles Oakley. He gave an elbow, and he didn't get away with it. Time has been called. 25 games in a row the Knicks have lost in Boston. The last time they won here, the day after Hart beat Mondale of New Hampshire. Patrick Ewing was playing for John Thompson. And you all remember Jump by Van Halen. Well, there is no correlation, we don't think. But the Knicks now travel a psychologist. And he's standing by with Leslie Visser.
That's right, Vern. It's actually a psychologist, Dr. Frank Gardner's in his 3rd year with the Knicks. Frank, they haven't won here in 6 years. Are there such things as leprechauns?
No, not really. When you think of the fact that most of these guys haven't been here for 6 years, then it becomes an irrelevancy. Mo Cheeks has won here, and Oakley was in Chicago, Van de Wey was in Denver. It's more of a fan and media creation than a reality for these guys.
We'll see if they turn around. Now let's go back to our man on the couch. Coach Billy Cunningham.
She got you.
Leslie, I'll tell you.
She got you.
Yeah.
29-24. Well, if you were with the basketball show, you heard Billy talk about the ghost that parade through here.
Well, it's a long game, Leslie.
Larry Bird scoops the pass to McHale, knocked out of bounds, Boston ball. Matter of fact, the only member of the New York Knicks who has won here in a New York uniform is Trent Tucker. And he has yet to make an appearance in the ball game. Trent played 14 minutes in that game, 1984.
Those young men with the towels are going to have a busy day as warm as it is in here, making sure the players won't hurt themselves slipping and sliding.
There's also ice under this floor. Reggie Lewis rejected by Ewing. McHale gets the putback. The Boston Bruins played here last night and won, defeating Montreal. So the floor is down over the ice. Off the glass, Gerald Wilkins. Boy, he has shown a little spark now.
Yeah, he's a streaky player, and when he gets a few hoops or misses a few, it's either up or down with him when he's on the court.
2:20 to go, first quarter. Bagley is in the lineup now for the Celtics and gets his first shot to fall. Mark Jackson played 13 minutes the other night. Of course, he lost his starting spot to the man who has the ball right now, Mo Cheeks. And don't know if we'll see Mark much today at all, especially not after plays like that.
No, and if necessary, Cheeks will play 48 if the Knicks are in this ball game in the 4th period.
5 points, Boston edge. There's Larry Bird coming off for a three-pointer. Ewing tracks it down. Lewis gets the loose ball and puts it in. Reggie Lewis.
Well, again, we see, though, the defensive boards, the Knicks are not doing the job. They had one player on the boards, and Ewing was not strong enough to control the rebound.
Ewing will shoot a couple. And Joe Klein picks up another foul.
You know, for the Knicks, they're just going to have to do a better job defensively. When Larry Bird misses an open shot like he did there and you don't get the rebound, and we saw the play before that, Ewing blocks the shot, McHale picks it up. They have to be reacting to the basketball before they're looking to get out and try and run.
Substitution now. Jim Paxson, who had a solid defensive game here Thursday night, replaces Reggie Lewis, who goes to the bench with 10 points. And Patrick Ewing, who was only 4 of 10 from the free throw line in game 1, gets them both to fall and cuts the lead to 5. As we said, it's 90 degrees an expected high in Boston. And this, of course, is ancient, venerable building without air conditioning. It gets very warm in here. Here's McHale posting up over Oakley. 2 more. He's got 12.
Yeah, and it becomes a tough matchup for Oakley after that silly foul he committed because he's got 2, and he's too important right now to go to the bench for the Knicks.
Oakley strong to the basket. Off of Gerald Wilkins, who penetrated and tossed it back out.
That's the key, Vern. Just what you said. It was the penetration that created that opportunity.
Bird with a pump fake over Johnny Newman. Joe Klein wide open off the assist from Larry Bird.
And we see the Celtic bench coming in and contributing offensively.
And that basket's going to count. McHale picks up the foul, and Johnny Newman will try and make it a 3-point play.
Jimmy Rogers has to be very concerned, though, that his team is scoring at the other end, and the Knicks are able to get layups after that made field goal. Then they're going to either have to get back better defensively as a team or put pressure on the man inbounding the pass.
How do you like overall the tempo of this game so far?
It's a Knick tempo so far. The thing is, they're just going to have to do a better job on the defensive boards.
They trail by 5 in the final 40 seconds. Nice move by McHale. Rebound, Patrick Ewing. The outlet pass, Mo Cheeks. Wilkins flies by Larry Bird. The lead is 3.
And there was a 4-on-2 fast break.
What was a 12-point lead has been cut to 3. Bagley, Klein, Bird, McHale, and Paxson on the court now for Boston. Jim Paxson gets the pick. Finds Klein in the low post. Over Charles Oakley.
You know, Joe Klein, that's just a big plus he's adding to this ball club because what they look for him is just rebounding and being physical.
Yeah, that's an unexpected bonus. Johnny Newman, nice play.
Well, so far, both teams have been able to score at will.
That's the end of the first period with our score. The Boston Celtics 41 and the New York Knicks 38. A lovely spring day in Boston, Massachusetts. A little warm outside and inside. And the Boston Celtics lead the New York Knicks 41-38 as we get ready to start quarter number 2 before another sellout crowd at the Boston Garden. Vern Lundquist, Billy Cunningham, and Leslie Visser on hand. A 21-9 Boston lead cut to only 3 at the end of the quarter, 41-38, as the Knicks had 11 fast break attempts and scored 16 points. And there is that veteran Boston lineup. Average age, excluding Reggie Lewis, is 34 when you take Parrish, McHale, Bird, and Dennis Johnson. Matter of fact, it's interesting. With this quartet, that the 4 we talked about, they have 4 of the top 13 all-time scorers in NBA playoff history. Kevin McHale went to the locker room, just had a wrap redone on his knee, and he's back. On his hand, rather.
Well, there's no question they understand what this time of the year means.
41-38, Mo Cheeks. Johnny Newman trying to get a pick from Ewing. He does. Shot taken down by Joe Klein. Boston goes with Bagley. Parrish is back in the lineup. So Parrish and Klein as McHale gets a rest. Reggie Lewis and Jim Paxson.
Well, this shows the flexibility with Lewis because he's now at the small forward position after playing the 2-guard.
Robert Parrish over Patrick Ewing.
And there's a case that Patrick Ewing just let Parrish get the ball too close to the basket. He's got to push him out.
Johnny Newman. Offensive putback by Oakley goes in.
Well, there's a physical battle right there. Oakley and Klein. There's no finesse. It's just guys putting their nose to the grindstone.
Trent Tucker has come on for the New York Knicks. Paxson takes the shot after the pick from Parrish on Trent Tucker.
Well, the thing that's impressed me so far about the Celtics is their bench and the way they've come in and contributed. Because I think that one of the big questions, at least in my mind, was what was their bench going to do? Were they going to be able to contribute? And if they do get by the Knicks, will they be a factor? They'll have to be a factor for this ball club.
Travel.
That's called intimidation. He saw Robert Parrish there, and he was afraid of getting his shot blocked. He should have just powered it right back to the basket.
Well, the 6, 7, and 8 men of the Celtics are on the court right now. Billy was talking about them. Bagley, Paxson, and Klein. There's Reggie Lewis. He's got 12 points in the ball game now. The lead is back to 7.
Yeah, this bench has moved the lead up. And that's something you don't expect from a Celtic bench. You expect, the best that they would be able to hold it in place.
John Bagley. Parrish gets the offensive board.
Just out-hustled the two Knicks.
And the two Knicks were Oakley and Ewing. Paxson. Now Cheeks comes across the timeline, but the Celtics do get back. Tucker for 3. And Mo Cheeks muscles John Bagley out of the way, giving Trent Tucker a chance to try another one.
And Patrick Ewing is at the other end of the court. He's exhausted and asked Coach Jackson to please get me out.
Now Ewing just still isn't in your picture. There he is.
Oh, he just had around a 2-minute break.
Taken away by Bagley. Reggie Lewis.
One thing that Stu Jackson can't do is wait. He's got to get the timeout to not allow the Celtic team to run away with the game.
The old Dogs lead the Young Pups 49-40. 9:13 to go in the first half. And how old are the Celtics? Well, Robert Parrish at 36, Johnson 35, Bird 33, and McHale at 32. But despite the age, Bill, they've only missed those 17 games between the 4 of them.
That's really something. And again, I think a big factor is what we're seeing right here in this second period. The bench being able to play, contribute positively to this ball club, and allow Jimmy Rogers not to have to extend the older players those extra minutes.
Mark Jackson is on now for the first time for the New York Knicks. Trent Tucker, Johnny Newman, Oakley, and Kenny Walker back in the ball game as Ewing gets a rest. And there's the tap in by Oakley. Here come the Celtics across the timeline, taken away by the Knicks. During that timeout, Leslie Visser was in that, or near the Knickerbocker huddle. Les, what'd you hear?
Vern, Stu Jackson told his players that the Celtics are just scoring too easily. He told each player that it was his responsibility to put more physical pressure on his opponents.
Oh, and they really have a challenge now, Leslie, because you see the small lineup that the Knicks have against, Robert Parrish and Larry Bird up there. They really have to do the job.
Reggie Lewis. Jackson draws that defensive assignment now. Here's Paxson. Easily by Kenny Walker, and misses the layup, but the tap goes in.
Again, penetration, defense has to help. Offensive players get to the glass.
A 10-4 Boston run to open the second quarter now. Newman, Bird takes it away, puts it in the hands of Reggie Lewis. Boston on the break. Bagley.
The thing that's impressed me, now we see the Celtics with the older crew out here, not having the quickness outrunning this younger, smaller Knicks lineup.
Bagley misfires on the free throw, and it stays at 11, 53-42. So the Celtics, who led by as many as 12 early in the game, have it back in double figures now. Jackson works on Bagley and the whistle. Foul called on John Bagley. Coming up from Detroit, Indiana-Detroit, game 2. James Brown and Tommy Heinsohn there to bring you that one. The defending NBA champions won with relative ease in their first game on Thursday. Offensive foul.
Trent Tucker hooked Paxson, and Earl Strom right on top of it saw the foul. Now this is a scary time for the Knicks because are they thinking about, or in the back of their minds, their losing record here in the Garden?
And Earl Strom saw the shove, Bill.
Yeah, he sure did. That's one of the reasons that you have 3 officials out there.
Right.
But what I'm saying is that do they lose that confidence? You know, things were going good. Now they're struggling. Somebody out here for the Knickerbockers is going to have to grab a hold of this whole situation and say, hey, let's get going and do something and get the team going in the right direction.
Jim Paxson goes to the line to shoot a couple. 7:31 to go in the first half. Let's check the New York lineup now. Kiki Vandeweghe back in. He joins Trent Tucker, Charles Oakley, Jackson, and Kenny Walker on the court. And for the Celtics, Parrish and Bagley, Paxson, Lewis, and Larry Bird.
Boy, you look out here on the court and you see so many mismatches in regards to for the Celtics at the offensive end of the court. You know, who's going to play Larry Bird? Who's going to play Parrish? Tough decisions, and they really have to do the job and hustle out here, the Knicks, to stop those players.
What's the reason you think that Steve Jackson has gone to the smaller lineup?
He's just trying to get his team more aggressive. And there we see, we're talking about aggressiveness. This Celtic ball club just displaying great individual and team defense.
That's 6 New York turnovers. And what was a minuscule 3-point lead at the end of the first quarter is out to 13 now at the 7-minute mark. Parrish.
Well, I know you don't like to double on Parrish if you're Steve Jackson, but when you have someone 7 feet tall and someone 6'8" playing a guy, you got to go back and give him some help because that's going to happen all game if they don't do something.
Oakley, the timing is way off. Offensive rebound by Trent Tucker, and Vandeweghe will shoot a couple. Fouled by John Bagley.
Now, one thing, when things are going bad and you're struggling at the offensive end of the court, that's where you have to have more patience than you did earlier when things were good.
6:34 to go before halftime. Boston shooting very well, 69% thus far. Newman and Oakley lead the Knicks with 9 points each. Reggie Lewis with 14 points to lead the Boston Celtics. Coming up tomorrow, we continue our coverage of the NBA playoffs on CBS. The basketball show with Pat and Bill. I hope you all enjoyed the debut of that today. And a doubleheader, Milwaukee and Chicago at 1 o'clock Eastern time, followed by Houston and Los Angeles at 3:30 Eastern time. That's all tomorrow as we are with you from now until we crown a 1990 NBA champion. Patrick Ewing back into the lineup now. 8 points and only 1 rebound thus far. Kiki Vandeweghe at the line. Now the woes continue.
Now, Kiki has had some problems with his feet. Not only was out for most of the season, only came back for the last 22 games, but when he goes to the basket, he cannot explode to the basket because his feet are killing him, and might have to have something done after the season concerning his feet.
Dennis Johnson, having gotten a rest, is back in the lineup now with Larry Bird, Parrish, Reggie Lewis, and Jim Paxson. Nice pick by Robert Parrish. How many times have you seen that play?
Too many times. And I think every coach in the NBA watching has seen it too often.
59 to 43, Vandeweghe. Nice touch.
But then again, that's the experience factor. They know each other so well. Parrish knew he was going to get the ball because he was open playing with Larry Bird.
There's the pick and roll with Jim Paxson. And Robert Parrish tries another shot. Walker strong for the rebound.
The Celtics have been able to get a good shot almost every time down the court this first half. There hasn't been any defensive pressure and forcing them to do something they don't want to do.
Double team on Ewing. Walker. Foul by Dennis Johnson.
It's interesting. Bird playing Walker just went over and double-teamed Ewing because he had no respect for Walker. Doesn't feel that he can hurt him. And it was a great pass by Ewing, and he found him.
Trent Tucker out of the lineup. Kenny Walker who is also probably facing knee surgery when the season is over. Gets to first. At the conclusion of today's game, Billy and I will select the Miller Lite Player of the Game. In conjunction with the award, Light Beer will present a check in the amount of $1,000 in the player's name to the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. And again, the Knicks having problems at the free throw line. Walker gets both. The lead is 12, 59-47, 5.5 to go in the first half of play.
Well, the Knicks have got to find a spark at the defensive end of the court.
Vandeweghe on Bird. There's McHale guarded by Walker. Back to Johnson. And Walker clears it. Cheeks pushes it up. Gerald Wilkins. Vandeweghe moves to his right and gets the shot on.
And that's what they're going to have to do. That was good ball movement, good patience, penetration, creating. We're seeing right now that they're not going to be able to rely just on Patrick Ewing. The Celtics are doing too good of a job defensively on it.
Larry Bird looks inside for Parrish. He's being fronted by Ewing. And then that little drop step turnaround. The shot doesn't go. Wilkins pushes it up. Back to Mo Cheeks. Larry Bird comes the other direction. Lead pass to Reggie Lewis. What a pass, what a play.
Great play by the Celtics, and Reggie Lewis just finishing it off, and that was a tough shot he had here. Now there's the outlet pass. Now here's Wilkins and Cheeks coming from behind, using that left hand. What a basketball player he's turning into.
Oh, so interesting, Bill. Here 2 weeks ago, when Reggie Lewis had 34, Stu Jackson said, well, the man we wanted to have play, who had to beat us with 34. There's an air ball by Vandeweghe. Ewing muscles inside. Parrish grabs the ball. Larry Bird over Vandeweghe. Lead is 15.
Boy, the Celtics are just putting on a clinic out here in this first half. They've shown you how to post up. They've shown you how to pick and roll. They've done everything.
Gerald Wilkins gets 2 for New York at the other end. Yeah, it really is something to watch.
It's a little surprising, too, that we have not seen the Knicks try to come out and pressure a little bit more. You know, they're falling back into a situation playing the Celtics type of ball game.
Double down by Maurice Cheeks with Kenny Walker. McHale says, thank you very much. I'll take the shot.
Yeah, and if you double down and you let McHale get the ball that close to the basket, you must push him further out in the court for that to even be a factor.
That one knocked out of bounds by Larry Bird. Jimmy Rogers was talking about the multiplicity of lineups he's used for the Celtics. He said at one point this year, every player save Charles Smith has started at least one game, and every player on the 12-man roster has been a part of the 7-man rotation. And it's really paying dividends for them now, when they've been able to conserve minutes for some of the older players.
That's right, and they're fresh and sharp right now.
Blocked by Parrish. Here comes Bird.
There was a whistle blown before the shot.
"24-second violation negated the basket. So time has been called. Boston's on fire. They lead the Knicks by 15. We're at 2 minutes and 59 seconds before halftime. A 16-4 Boston run to open this quarter, and the experience is really shown, I think, here in Game 2, Phil.
Yeah, and the other thing that you're seeing is that the Knicks don't have that leadership, or they don't have that quality of player right now on the court that they can just grab a hold of themselves and get reorganized out here on the basketball court. And this has been a problem that they've not only had today, but this is something that's been going on for the last month or so for this ball club.
Now, this is a New York team that started out with such great expectations, having won the division title a year ago at 52-30. They were 26-10 at one point this year, but it really fell off in the latter 2 months of the season. They finished 19-23. including 9 wins and 18 defeats to end the season. So they were going in the wrong direction when the playoffs began, and this is not an easy place to correct that problem. Now Kevin McHale posting up, and there's the double on McHale again with Cheeks. Gets it to Joe Klein. Touch pass underneath, knocked out by Wilkins.
But we saw an aggressive defensive team, the Knicks, that time. They fought. The other time, McHale just caught the ball in the low box and was able to score. And this time, they forced him out on the court.
6 seconds left in the shot clock now. Bird back to Johnson. Got it.
That's beautiful basketball, isn't it? The clock running down and having the patience on the court and finding an open teammate.
And just taking his time.
Yeah, just simple basketball. It's not a complex game.
Pass underneath. Vandeweghe found Gerald Wilkins. 68-53. How about this for the older quartet? 39 points from the quartet of Johnson, McHale, Parrish, and Bird. 2 minutes remaining in the first half of play. Game 2. Back to Joe Klein. Boy, they're getting really a big bonus out of him today.
Their bench has missed 1 field goal, and that was a driving layup by Paxson.
The lead is 17. Ewing way out away from the basket. Here's Cheeks. Goes by Bird. And a foul is called by Earl Strong.
Now, Reggie Lewis got him on, fouled him, but the thing you'd like to see, if you're Jimmy Rogers, everybody on the Celtics were back in the paint giving help at the defensive end.
Sellout crowd of 14,980. Last time the Garden was not sold out for a Celtics game, 1980. And that was in Larry Bird's second year. They'd come off that disastrous season.
What happened? Was there a snowstorm or something?
70-55. 90 seconds to go, first half. Boston has 14 points out of the bench. Bird for 3. Walker. Cheeks to Wilkins. Chase down the rebound. Off-balance shot and a foul by Reggie Lewis.
And that's how the Knicks, if they're going to get back in this ball game, what they have to do. They have to do it at the defensive end of the court, being aggressive, getting the rebounds, and using their quickness in the open court.
That's the third foul on Reggie Lewis. So Jim Paxson gets the nod, and Gerald Wilkins goes to the free throw line. Reggie Lewis goes to the bench with 3 fouls and 17 first half points.
I would think you'd see the Knicks pressure right now, look to put that full court pressure on. Well, they're not going to. I guess they feel better about what they've done the last 2 possessions, the 2 times down defensively, that they'll stick with their straight man-to-man.
70-57. Johnson got another. So funny, we were talking with Dennis yesterday because Jackson said we'd like to make Johnson beat us with the long shot. DJ said, so what else is new?
Yeah, he's been hearing that for 7 years in the Celtic uniform. Every team that's played against them tries to do the same thing.
Johnson said, all it's got me is 17,000 points and 3 championship rings. Here's McHale.
And he's played the second most playoff games in the NBA history behind Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Right. That's Dennis Johnson with 177. There's DJ. 177 playoff games now in a career that started in Seattle.
You know, we asked him yesterday, his contract is up at the end of this season, how he felt about that. And he said, I can deal with that. You know, I would like to play 2 more years, and I think I can be an effective basketball player. But I just have to believe deep down that's a little added incentive, you know, to him to have an excellent playoff.
Well, he had a terrific game 1. And now McHale will have another free throw with 40.4 seconds to go in the first half. Kevin, who said the real turnaround for this Boston team began when Jimmy Rogers decided on an 8-man rotation. Cheeks. Ewing over Klein, gets it to go in.
That's just great hustle by Ewing. Joe Klein is a little upset. He thought that Ewing pushed him out of the way.
Celtics with a slight difference in the shot clock and the game clock. Nevertheless, will go for the final shot. Ewing now with only 2 rebounds in the first half.
And, you know, as good as the offense was for the Celtics in this second period, it was their defense holding the Knicks to 21 points.
Ewing gets his 3rd rebound. Gerald Wilkins, nope. Well, it was a 3-point deficit for New York at the end of 1. It's a 15-point deficit at the half. The end of the half with our score. Boston 74, New York 59. Pat O'Brien is along with Prudential at the half after this message. Halftime at Boston Garden, the Celtics up by 15, 74-59 at the start of the 3rd period. A very warm spring day in Boston, about 90 degrees expected for the high outside. Not quite that bad inside, but we can feel the heat.
It's getting there.
And so can the Knicks. As a matter of fact, they're down by 15. And a moment ago, Leslie Visser had a chance to talk to Stu Jackson and asked what the Knicks could do to turn this around.
Well, they shot a phenomenal percentage in the first half. We need to do a better job of challenging jump shots. On the positive side for us, although we're down 15, the pace of the game is the way that we want it. Hopefully, come 4th quarter, we can get out, get some easy baskets, and turn it around.
Thanks, Coach.
Well, they're down by 15 right now. I know you walked out of the locker room, near the locker room with Mo Cheeks, your former player. What did he have to say to you?
Well, I said to Maurice, I said, my goodness, I could go out there and play better defense than the way you guys are playing. And he said, let's not get carried away now, Bill.
Well, they have had some defensive problems because the Knicks have allowed 66% shooting by the Boston Celtics in the first half. New York has countered with 47%, and Reggie Lewis out of Northeastern University, 8 of 10 from the field. To lead all of Boston in scoring. The rebounds, now the Knicks have come back, but Robert Parrish is the leader with 8. And the other stats, the turnovers. And here again, Jimmy Rogers said he wanted his team to reduce the number of turnovers. They've done that, Bill.
No, they just played a great game first half. And the thing is, you know, I watched this game and I just wonder, are the Celtics that good at the offensive end of the court, or are the Knicks that bad at their defensive end of the court?
Well, one of the things that Jimmy Rogers talked about with us yesterday is the health of the Boston Celtics, despite the age and experience. He said, we are as healthy as we have been in the last 3 or 4 years. Now let's check the lineups. Here's Ewing, jump hook. First shot of the 3rd quarter. Loose ball chased down by Kiki Vandeweghe, and he'll take the shot. Reggie Lewis comes down with the ball for Boston. It's Bird, Johnson, Lewis, McHale, and Parrish, the starting 5 for Boston. And Oakley gets the start in the second half, joining Vandeweghe, Cheeks, Ewing, and Wilkins for the New York Knicks.
And this is the end of the court that the Knicks are going to have to get it going. At the defensive end of the court to let them get out and run.
Ewing puts a body on McHale and gets called for the foul. That's his second first-team foul. Here's the pick and roll. Back it comes to Robert Parrish. Johnson. Rotation didn't allow Cheeks to get over quickly enough.
Yeah, and they just moved the ball so well. They're in such a great rhythm, and they're so in tune with each other at this point offensively that the Knicks have got their hands full to get back to this game.
There's Bird stripping the ball after the fine defense by Parrish. And McHale. Stu Jackson wants a 20-second timeout.
Now, one of the problems when you play against the Celtics and Larry Bird, if you don't keep him active offensively, and if he's not concerned with the man he's playing, he's just going to roam, and he just does a great job with team defense, and we saw an example of that right there.
Parrish really with a fine defensive effort on Ewing, and then Bird sneaking by, grabbing the pass, and the Celtics in transition. 8 turnovers now for New York, and still only 4 for this Boston team. The Boston team that was ousted in the first round of the playoffs, 3 straight by Detroit last year. And again, Larry Bird was not a part of that. He missed all but 6 games last year. You had an interesting chat with him yesterday about coming back and what it meant to him this year.
Yeah, and the interesting thing was he's saying that he is not a confident jump shooter at this point. and that down the stretching games, if he has to shoot the jump shot, now he thinks a little bit more pass than shooting, which you never saw before.
Oakley just bangs in the middle and is fouled.
Celtics foul is on number 35, Reggie Lewis.
Reggie Lewis called for the foul, and Paxson's going to come in because that's a quick fourth foul on Reggie Lewis.
You know, if I'm part of the Knicks management and I'm watching this game right now, I'm really looking at these players and which guys do I want part of this Knickerbocker team for next year? Which guys are showing me that they really care and that winning is that important? Because at second period they were embarrassed, and it's just a very important stage for a lot of people on this ball club.
Indiana, Detroit, second half of our doubleheader coming up today. That will follow our game, and then we've got Milwaukee, Chicago, and Los Angeles and Houston in their respective game twos tomorrow. And we're with you every week throughout the playoffs until we crown the 1990 champion. Everything's going right for them.
Well, the funny thing is right there, another step back, and McHale would have shot the three-pointer. This year, he made 23 three-point field goals. For his whole career before this year, he was 1 for 20.
Oakley tracks down the ball, and then Paxson dives for it. Here's McHale. Touch pass from Parrish, and Kevin McHale will shoot a couple after the foul by Wilkins.
You know, there's a play that tells a great story. It was more important to the Celtics to get that basketball. And you look up at the scoreboard, and they're up 19 points.
And diving for the loose ball.
That's right. Now, great hustle by Oakley to try and get it. Vandeweghe doesn't go after it. Cheeks tries, doesn't get it. Just out-hustled by the Celtics.
Kevin McHale, barring some quick turnaround now by the Knicks, the Celtics to go up 2-0 in this best-of-5 series. Interesting, given their age, do you think it's best for the Celtics to win quickly or extend the series?
Well, I believe if they can beat the Knicks quickly, it's a big plus for them.
Now, they have differing opinions. There's a battle underneath, and Robert Parrish gets it. And quickly out to Kevin McHale. Larry Bird. Look at the position underneath. Well, he gets away. And that comes the Knicks. 82-61, 9:27 to go. Shot won't go at the other end. Bird back to Paxson. And Oakley got in the way of things. A little sloppy right now.
I'll tell you what, I tip my hat to the effort by Charles Oakley, who hasn't played in 6 weeks.
And here comes Boston running again. Not what you're used to seeing from the Celtics right now.
Now, Jimmy Rogers has got to be a little upset, too, at this point. He doesn't want to see this to get out of hand. They're playing too good a basketball to get careless. Again, the physical part of the ball game. No one checking McHale out, going for the easy tip.
Legendary Red Auerbach, who coached his last game for the Celtics 24 years ago today. Yesterday, I asked Red about his fabled front line, and he said the secret to their success is knowledge, that McHale knows if he goes to a certain spot on the floor, he's going to get the pass from Larry Bird. Red added that he doesn't see why they can't play another 5 years. I said, Red, collectively, their ages are 101. He said, well, we'll cut back on their minutes a little. Vern?
Well, they've helped accumulate some of those 16 banners from the NBA you see overhead, and they've got a 23-point lead. We talked to Red before the game today, and he was so proud of the fact that yesterday he played 50-year-old assistant coach Lanny Van Eman in racquetball and waxed him.
Yeah, but you never get the whole story from Red. You know, he might have been spotted 10 points or something like that. He's such a competitive guy. He'll just tell you the bottom line if he wins.
Yeah, he couldn't wait to remind us. There's Ewing underneath. There's the stuff. A big play by Patrick Ewing. Kevin McHale just walked away and let it go. That shook everything in that end of the building.
That's the first time we've seen it, though.
84-63. Here's Jim Paxson, and the trap to the full court press employed now by the Knicks after the made basket. Jimmy Rogers says, we don't mind the trap.
Yeah, and you see how the Celtics handle that. They just hold it back and they trying to run their offense and use the clock.
Dennis Johnson. Knicks have gotten off to a slow start in each of the 3 quarters. 2 of 5 in the first, 1 of 6 in the second. They missed their first set until Ewing got that stop. And now Patrick will go to the line.
And that was some move by Patrick going baseline, because you know Parrish is trying to force him off the box and then force him to bring the ball back to the middle on the floor. And when he puts it on the floor, looking for some help from his teammates. You know, what Red was talking about, this front line of the Celtics, a few years ago watching them play and working with CBS, I thought that this was as good a front line, if not the best front line to ever play professional basketball. I think they just have all the qualities that you would love to see. And, you know, I'm sure there's people out there saying, well, what about this front line and what about that? They're as good as any that's ever played the game.
Well, I hope no one misunderstands. I'm not giving this series to Boston in any stretch, but how far do you think the Celtics could go this year?
Well, I believe, getting back to that point we're talking about, the rest. I think if they can beat the Knicks in 3, that means they would play 3 games in 2 weeks and then be rested for, most likely, you know, Indiana, no question, could upset Detroit. A lot of things can happen. Then play Detroit. I think a fresh team, that's going to be a heck of a series.
Well, you talk to Robert Parrish, and he says...
Robert Parrish thinks it's a great idea to get that rest. Larry Bird, he wants them to keep playing because he just feels that they get a little lethargic. They're not sharp, especially at the offensive end of the court when they have time off.
Johnny Newman comes back in now for the New York Knicks, and Charles Oakley will get a rest. Patrick Ewing picks up the foul. That's his 3rd.
Now you see, there's so many mismatches out here. Now Vanderway's trying to match up against McHale. You know, there's no chance.
You're right.
That's not tough to predict. But Kiki is not known for his defense. 3-pointer. See, now the game's getting out of hand. That's too quick of a shot. They got to show more patience and make a few passes at the offensive end of the court.
91-65, and we're just midway through quarter number 3.
I think we're going to have a highlight film of this period. If you make a mistake with Larry Bird, this is what happens. Cheeks turned his head. Paxson moved so well without the basketball.
Jimmy Paxson, another who's not certain about his future here. Getting on in years.
But now he's playing, the last month or so, they feel he's playing the ball they had expected of him when they got him to Portland.
Kiki Vandeweghe. At the other end, here's Paxson. Boy, don't go to sleep on the Celtics.
This is what we're talking about. You have to count heads. If you're, you know, the Knicks management, you got to be looking at these people. Who's out here still competing and playing basketball?
Johnny Newman gets it off the glass. 96-69. 6:10 remaining in the 3rd quarter. Why not? That would have brought the house down.
Yeah.
As if it needs to come down.
No, the fans here are just having a great time in this game.
Johnny Newman will go to the line, and Dennis Johnson picks up the foul. 5:52 to go, 3rd quarter.
Now, one thing you find in coaching or in this game, you're going to run through stretches of the year where things go bad. And one of 2 things happen to you both of them. Either they come closer together as a group, and they have the attitude, hey, it's 12 of us, our coaching staff, against the world. But what we're seeing with the Knickerbockers, it's been the opposite. It's become a situation where they appear to be all going in different directions.
Are you saying that they're playing selfish basketball?
Yeah, I would say that. You know, when I say selfish, I think that the most important aspect of the game and where you really show that you're a team is at the defensive end of the court. We have not seen that from this team. They have just played individual basketball.
Quick pass. Bird to Paxson, and McHale finds Robert Parrish. And Ewing finally tracks it down. 96-71. Parrish on the air ball from Vandeweghe. Celtics want to take a breather. 5:24 to go. Third quarter. Timeout, Boston. Detroit won its first game over the 8th seed Indiana. You'll see game 2 coming up next on CBS. Boston on the verge of taking a 2-game lead over New York. Philadelphia in a thriller over Cleveland. And Chicago took Milwaukee the other night. All first games in this best-of-5 round of the playoffs. And out west, every home team won. L.A., Utah, San Antonio, and Portland. And we'll have a doubleheader for you tomorrow featuring Chicago, Milwaukee in the first game, and then the Lakers and Houston. And the Celtics playing so well. Let's check in on what they did during the timeout. Here's Leslie Visser.
Vern, in the huddle just now, Jimmy Rogers told his team, look, let's keep this aggressive. Let's get everybody involved. And as the game goes on, let's not lose our poise. And we're doing a really good job now. Let's keep it up.
All right, Leslie, thank you. Leslie will be with us throughout the playoffs. 96-71, a lead of 25.
And Jimmy Rogers wants to build off this game. That's why he's emphasizing this to his ball club, that they, we're creatures of habit, and he wants his team to have the good habits.
Double team on McHale. He finds Bagley open for the shot. Good pass by Kevin McHale.
Good ball movement. That's what it's all about. These big guys posting up McHale, Parrish, and Bird. No, they've seen that defense all their lives.
That's a 2-pointer for Johnny Newman. And at the other end, here's Kevin McHale.
Just looking at the expression in the face of Patrick Ewing then, just such disappointment. Now, whose fault is that? Your guards must be back on the defensive end. They're your first line getting back.
Mark Jackson has come into the fray now with Kenny Walker, Gerald Wilkins, Newman, and Ewing for the New York Knicks. Joe Klein has come back in for Boston. And there's Ewing with 2.
There's Paxson. He was loose at the other end.
Look how quickly they find the right man.
Yeah, now we're seeing them showing the patience.
And Jimmy Rogers called this hurry up and be patient.
That's hurry up and be patient. Beat the press, and then let's set up and just use our strength, and that's inside or outside.
And the lead is 27. Largest lead of the game has been 29. It was 15 at the half, 3 at the end of the first quarter.
Well, you can just see that's just a great defense right there. Good hustle by Ewing to get back into the play. But the difference in this ball club, the Knicks, they're thinking before the game, let's run, push the basketball. It's not there. They've just, you're looking at a team out there on the court that just believes that they're not going to win this basketball game.
Johnny Newman drives by McHale, and he'll shoot a couple. Boston team that had a 41-38 first quarter lead, 74-59 at half. The Knicks missed their first 7 shots to start the third quarter. And now Steve Jackson's going to send Eddie Lee Wilkins in for Patrick Ewing to try and apply some sort of a tourniquet. And Patrick with a countenance of disgust as he walks to the bench and sits down. 102-78, 3:34 to go in the third quarter. Paxson.
It's easy now for the Celtics to offensively. There's no pressure shooting the basketball.
Bagley.
But I'll tell you what, it's awfully good for Jimmy Rogers. For him seeing his bench come in and contribute to the way they have today.
Certainly not surprising that Boston is leading, but they are dismantling the New York Knicks. Mark Jackson gets 2 at the other end to cut the lead to 26. 2:50 to go in quarter number 3. Nice pass, Bagley to McHale.
Just as Jimmy Rogers says, we're not going to shoot that shot unless we have a layup, and that's exactly what they got out of that. Well, I tell you what, the person I feel the worst for is Stu Jackson sitting over there on the bench for the Knickerbockers.
This ovation is for Larry Bird. And Michael Smith, the club's #1 draft choice, has taken his place.
But Stu Jackson sitting over there just helpless. There's nothing he can do at this point for this ball club to get them going.
109 to 80. Wilkins gets 2 more for New York at the 2.5-minute mark of the third quarter. Larry Bird with 11 points, 3 rebounds, and 13 assists. Mike Smith has it knocked away by Eddie Lee Wilkins, and then Jackson gets it to the Knicks. Back to Newman. My goodness. McHale. Mike Smith from Paxson. Michael Smith out of Brigham Young University, #1 draft choice of the club. Served 2 years on a Mormon mission, and the hand for Kevin McHale as Ed Pinckney comes in.
Now that's a big decision by Jimmy Rogers right there. You might say, well, gee, they're up 30 points. There is time, and now there's a different group on the court. Now if they get careless and allow this Knickerbocker team to feel good at all about themselves, now it could change a little bit. Then he'd have to go back to the bench and bring his starters back.
Think he may have done it too early?
Maybe a little too early.
31 points for McHale, who's on the bench right now. 112 to 84, 143 to go, third quarter. Bagley, Smith, Paxson, Pinckney, and Joe Klein on the court for the Celtics. Here's Ed Pinckney, who started 50 games this year. And a foul underneath, as Kevin McHale has a chance to rest with Dennis Johnson. There's been an evidence of hirsute awareness here on the Celtics. They're trying to grow Fu Manchu mustaches recently, and some aren't doing well.
Well, they're doing that in Philadelphia. They got their ears pierced, and now they're wearing black sneakers to the playoffs.
Now look at McHale. He's trying to grow the Fu Manchu.
Oh, boy.
So is Joe Klein. You can't even see Klein.
You know, Kevin's wife ought to tell him what he looks like.
Well, Michael Smith, the rookie, showed up Thursday night. There's Joe Klein. That's a wispy Fu Manchu. Smith had one when he was sitting on the bench Thursday night. I guess his wife got to him because he's clean shaven today. 114-84. Trent Tucker. Johnny Newman. Paxson gets 2.
You know, another thing is you watch this Celtic team through the Bird era. I cannot remember a year, and there hasn't been a year where they've gone into the playoffs where people didn't expect a lot of them. They're a loosey-goosey group. You know, there's no pressure. The pressure's on Detroit. The pressure's on LA. Philadelphia now has emerged as a real factor in this when you think about who's going to be in the final. So, you know, everybody, they're laying in the weeds out here, you know, this Celtic ball club.
That is a strange position to find them in. Here's Trent Tucker. Looks like he's going to make 26 straight trips to Boston without tasting victory. He's the one Knick who played in that game on leap year in 1984 when they won it. Mike Smith. Patrick Ewing. Here's Jackson. And it's 116 to 90. The lead down to 26 points. Shot clock is off. And a steal by Mark Jackson. Oh, what a play by Jackson, waiting for the foul from Bagley.
That's good. It's a breakaway foul. They'll shoot the foul shot, and they'll get the ball on the side. Now here's the good hands by Jackson. Taking it in. Bagley should have let him go. Hits him from the rear. You cannot hit a player from the rear. That'll be a breakaway.
Mark Jackson at the line. And as Billy said, a breakaway foul. So after the Jackson free throw, they get the ball back with 1.4 seconds.
This game is so crazy. If he makes this foul shot, they got 1.4 seconds. They hit a three-pointer. We have a 20-point ball game.
Right.
Now, that's still a lot of points. Don't get me wrong. But now, as I was saying, did Jimmy Rogers take that group out too quickly?
Jackson just misses to the right side. That's the end of the third quarter with our score. Boston 116, New York 93. We'll return to the Boston Garden after this message and a word from your local station.
Garden. I just spoke with Knicks general manager Al Bianchi. He's out watching the game out by a hot dog stand in the bowels of the arena. He said he's more than disturbed with the Knicks right now. He's disgusted. He said their half-court defense is nowhere. He hopes that they can raise their energy level and their defensive scheme for the 2 games or possibly 2 games back home at Madison Square Garden. He said, but right now this is an embarrassment. Vern?
Okay, Leslie, and if that's not enough, Al is suffering from a bad back, and he's got a sore throat today. So he wasn't feeling well before the game started.
I was very fortunate to break into the NBA with Al Bianchi. And I know what kind of player he was, what type of person, and I know how disturbed he is about the effort that he's seeing put forth today by the Knicks.
Foul is on Johnny Newman. We are at the Garden in Boston. Vern Lundquist, Billy Cunningham, and Leslie Visser. This one was close for 1. A 3-point Boston lead at the end of the first quarter. 15 at halftime and 27 here as we start quarter number 4.
And we see that a lot of the starters are back in this to start this fourth period.
Right. Parrish, Bird, Join, Lewis, Pinckney, and Bagley. There's Robert Parrish.
I'll tell you, the Chief is something, isn't he?
Well, I was interested in what you had to say about him. I think you respect him enormously, don't you?
Oh, gosh. You know, he's such a great competitor, besides being a great player. And the thing about him also, he's so quiet. And because of that, I think, for today anyway, being part of the media, he doesn't get the credit that is due to him as a basketball player.
At the other end, Larry Bird gets 2 more, 120 to 93. Bird with 13 points.
He's so smart. Watch him down there in the post, forcing him to the middle where he wanted Parrish.
Right.
I mean, excuse me, where Parrish wanted Ewing to go. He didn't get the help he was expecting. That's what the playoffs are all about. Using what's between your ears and knowing how to play, taking away certain things from a player and a team.
Well, on Thursday night, Patrick had a very quiet 22 points because he was denied the low box. And in a sense, it's happening again today. Ewing, 19 points this afternoon.
Now here's a young man, Patrick Ewing. Anytime he steps on the court, and I'm sure during the summer when he works on his game, you never question his effort. I mean, he's a guy I pay to go watch play basketball.
Ed Pinckney. 122-95.
Well, Pinckney and Ewing know each other from the Final Four.
1985.
That's right.
Rollie Massimino and Villanova defeating John Thompson and Patrick Ewing and the Georgetown Hoyas. There's Ewing at the offensive end with 2. And Ed Pinckney, who started much of the season. They put Kevin McHale on the 6-man role and then altered that about a month and a half, 2 months ago. Larry Bird with that little curl pattern off the pick by Parrish. Parrish chases ball down the loose ball. And again another loose ball. Oh, got it.
Well, the Celtics are getting sloppy.
And Larry Bird was giving...
I just can't believe Larry Bird got away with what he was saying to the official.
I can't either.
And what he said to Tommy Nunez, he should have been tagged with a technical foul right there.
Time has been called with 9:51 remaining. Celtics started hitting baskets at a torrid pace. It hasn't seized. New York 49%, McHale 31 points and 10 rebounds, and the Boston bench has played quite well, 34 points. Boston up 25 points under 10 minutes to go, and Larry Bird and Tommy Nunez really having words with each other just a moment ago.
Well, Bird thought he got fouled and probably did with the way he exploded there with Tommy Nunez. That's where I said that he deserved a technical foul. He could not go that far with an official.
Well, they were close enough so that we could almost hear what he said.
I think one of them was saying, you need a mint.
11 points for Bird today, and he's going to get a rest. 9:51 to go. And, of course, this is the first half of our doubleheader on CBS. Coming up next, Game 2, Detroit and Indiana. The Pistons lead the series. John Sally had a big Game 1 with 20 points and 11 rebounds.
And there's the team, Detroit, that struggled the last half of part of the season. If I'm not mistaken, they were their last 16 games or 18 games. They just played 500 basketball. And if anybody knows that team, it's Skip Versace, who was the assistant coach with Chuck Daly, and I'm sure was very instrumental in putting different things offensively and defensively in their game plan.
Reggie Lewis, who hit 8 of his first 10 shots in the ball game, misses that. Jackson, Ewing, Vandeweghe, Newman, and Trent Tucker on the floor now for New York. 122-97. Rejected by Robert Parrish.
How old is he?
36. Going on 19. But at 27, Patrick Ewing has some spring in his legs and gets 2 back. Larry Bird, Bagley, Parrish. There's Bagley. $124.99.
Yeah, you know, to me, that's not important. I want to see where the Knicks, do they start playing a little bit of defense. They show a little bit of character at that end of the court. That's just an individual move. And it was a great move by Johnny Newman, taking it strong to the basket. But, I mean, it looks like that their only concern is to get to the offensive end of the court and see if they can get a shot up.
Lewis. Ewing is back, so is Jackson. There's Parrish. Chases down his own rebound and finds Bagley looking to move the ball. Look at him move the ball.
Well, it's easy to move the ball when there's no in between you and the man you're throwing it to.
Little lethargy defensively. 126-102. A spin move on the baseline by Patrick Ewing. Bagley and Mark Jackson. And Robert Parrish will go to the line. Trent Tucker picks up the foul.
That's the play when you play against the Celtics that you really have to be prepared and coach against, and that's when Larry Bird comes out of the stack with Robert Parrish, the different things that he can do and how he does it differently with McHale or Parrish. Now, when Parrish is in there, he'll curl around the screen by Parrish looking for the ball to either shoot it or drop it back to Parrish because he has great hands. With McHale, he'll pop out to receive the ball, either the shot or direct pass, because he said McHale doesn't have the hands that Parrish has.
Mark Jackson with a nice move. And he picks up 2, 128-106. Ed Pinckney. And he'll shoot at the free throw line. Mark Jackson with the foul. Eddie Pinckney, who came in a trade along with Joe Klein.
And for Danny Ainge and Brad Lowhouse.
And from everything we've been told, Billy, Pinckney has handled, as have the others who have seen reduced minutes, has handled his role very well here in the latter part of the season.
Yeah, and you look at that trade now, you know, Danny Ainge, the one thing he can, you know, shooting the basketball, and he was just a great player playing for this ball club and doing a nice job in Sacramento. But now, if he was here, I just wonder, would Reggie Lewis have been able to grow into the player who has got a chance to be a star at this league if he's not now?
Johnny Newman penetrates and puts it back in the hands of Kiki Vandeweghe.
Now that's what Kiki can do. He can bring that offense to this Knick ball club. And, you know, he's got to score points to be effective.
Reggie Lewis gets another couple, and he's got 19 points now.
I'm going to contradict Cheeks' comment to me at halftime, by the way. I'm saying that I couldn't, don't get carried away about playing defense for this ball club. I might be able to play some out here.
I think you could. Mo Cheeks started off the season in San Antonio, having been traded from Philadelphia, and then in that much publicized trade, Rod Strickland went down to the Spurs, and Cheeks came in really expecting to play probably 18 minutes a game, and then Stu Jackson made him a starter, so he's back up around 30 now.
Yep. They just needed, they felt they needed some leadership out of Cheeks at that lead guard position they weren't getting from Jackson.
Good position by Reggie Lewis in front of Trent Tucker. 6:58 remaining in the ball game. Celtics rolling toward their second consecutive victory in this series and 26th in a row here in the Garden over New York.
On your way back to Boston, James Brown along with Tommy Heinsohn for Game 2 of Detroit, Indiana. One of the more interesting aspects of playoff time is the intensity level goes up. Guys who are normally friends start talking nasty about each other.
Well, we've been talking that the Pistons, who are masters of trying to distract their opponents, have been talking trash in the newspapers. If the Pacers bite for it, they're out of the series. The best way to stop trash talkers is beat them.
And, of course, we know Tommy Heinsohn never did that. Now let's go back to Boston, where we've got a guest announcer sitting alongside with Vern Lundquist and Billy Cunningham.
All right, JB, Tommy, we look forward to that ball game. 131-108 here with 2 seconds shy of 7 minutes remaining. It has been all Boston. And they have Larry Bird on the court now with Reggie Lewis, Ed Pinckney, Robert Parrish, and Dennis Johnson has come back in the lineup.
Tommy Heinsohn, just looking at this, I was looking through some notes. The first championship that Celtics won, Tommy Heinsohn was a rookie. It was a 7th game here in the Boston Garden against the St. Louis Hawks. Overtime, I think double overtime. Had 30-something points. So Tommy Heinsohn, as a rookie, had a heck of a playoff.
You amaze me with the depth of your research.
That's scary, isn't it? Boy, I tell you. Talk about having a small sponge.
Tommy Heinsohn, who is, here's Vandeweghe for 3. Nope. Robert Parrish. Heinsohn, a number 2 draft choice, who's now in the Hall of Fame. Who was number 1 that year?
Cliff Hagan.
A guy named Russell.
No, they traded for him.
Oh, that's right.
They traded for him. And it ended up, you're exactly right, though, that Russell joined the ball club, but I think it was Cliff Hagan and Easy Ed McCauley were traded for Bill Russell.
That's right. Tucker, 3.
That's why we were talking to Red Auerbach about winning 99 playoff games. As great a coach as he was, he had a few good players.
133-111. Here's Larry Bird. And Pinckney. Now Red with 99 playoff victories, and last night in Los Angeles, Pat Riley got his 99 for the Lakers. Here's Gerald Wilkins. Whoops. Ball hit Pinckney on the back of the head. Patrick Ewing. (135-113). Detroit, Indiana coming up next. A doubleheader for you tomorrow. Chicago, Milwaukee, their Game 2. And that'll be followed by the Lakers in Houston. Johnson and Bird. Well, they will go back down to Madison Square Garden on Wednesday. And if necessary, they'll play on Friday in the Garden, and then if a Game 5 is necessary, they come back to the Garden next Sunday.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I will watch that game against the Knicks in the Celtic game. I want to see what kind of Knick team comes out in that game.
In Madison Square Garden, you mean?
Yes, and not only the first part of the game when it's going to be emotional and they're going to be hyper and just, well, we're going to go out and show the fans what we're made out of. I want to see how they're playing in the 4th period. That's the important part.
3-pointer by Trent Tucker. We're nearing the 5-minute mark in this one. Celtics rolling with a 138-116 lead. That'll be Boston's ball. And the winner of this series advances to play the winner of the Detroit-Indiana series in the Eastern Conference. Johnson knocked away by Mo Cheeks. McHale with 31 points. Paxson with quality minutes off the bench. We'll see Charles Smith, who's on the left-hand side, before the game is over. There's the backdoor pass, and this one doesn't work. That works. Oh, boy. Oh, how beautiful.
You know, we're sitting here and have the ability to look at the whole court. And I saw Bird with the basketball, and I thought he was going to throw it to Reggie right here, who gives it up. But somehow he saw Pinckney on the weak side through 3 players and finds him for the dunk.
Pinckney gets the free throw. Larry Bird gets a rest. A 141-116 score at this time. And the shout of Larry goes up. Kevin Gamble has come into the lineup for the first time now.
Because the fans are doing it because they're getting into this playoff spirit here in Boston. You know, they're spoiled up here, and now they see their team play this way. They're thinking, hey, bring on the next opponent.
4:07 to go. Knocked out of bounds by Reggie Lewis. Most points scored in a playoff game in nearly 5 years.
Well, we'll be going way past that with 4 more minutes to play. We'll be well over 150 points.
Nice adjustment by Gerald Wilkins.
I would wonder if that game with 143 points was it an overtime situation where it might have ended up playing maybe 10 extra minutes of basketball. Because I just don't remember my recollection of playoff game, you know, well over 150 points.
That was a Memorial Day game with the Los Angeles Lakers when they scored the 143. Here's Brian Quinnett, young man out of Washington State. Michael Smith comes in, and Reggie Lewis gets a nice hand. Charles Smith on the floor now. So it's Smith and Smith, along with Klein, Gamble, and Pinckney.
Well, he comes in. Maybe we'll get a few people out of the stands to come out here and shoot a few up.
They're looking your way, Bill.
No.
3:20. Gerald Wilkins, putback by Brian Quinnett is good. 145-120. This one was over in the second quarter when Boston burned the Knicks. There's the double team on Klein, and he finds Pinckney.
And Pinckney looks like he's an all-pro tonight.
Turnover at the other end.
Back here at Boston Garden in a stunning 11th hour move, the Celtics have named me to their playoff roster, although judging by the way they play today, they don't really need anybody. Actually, this is a benefit for charity. It's $5 a snapshot, and it goes to benefit the Boys and Girls Clubs of Boston and also the Red Auerbach Foundation. Vern, I think there's a spot here on the team for you.
You are by far the most attractive of that bunch.
Hands down.
Hands down. 2:57 to go in the ball game. And it's Kevin Gamble, Charles Smith, Ed Pinckney, Joe Klein, Michael Smith. Now Stuart Gray has come on for the Knicks, along with Jackson, Eddie Lee Wilkins, Gerald. And there's a takeaway. Gerald Wilkins has it. Out of bounds, New York inbound. 2:38 remaining. Patrick Ewing apparently has seen his final action today, as has Kenny Walker.
This Knick team
should be mad at each other, mad at everyone for the way they performed today.
Michael Smith. Do you have a sense that they will be?
I think some will. Some. I don't, you know, and it's not fair for me to answer that because I just don't know these young men well enough to really reply to that question. But just by looking at their faces out here on the court, as like anyone else sitting here, I get the feeling that some, it really bothers others. It's a little bit of a selfish feeling that maybe I should have been playing more minutes. Maybe it's the coach's fault, which it isn't.
149-122. Gerald Wilkins, 2 more.
Well, he hasn't stopped playing.
No. Wilkins has 24 now in the ball game. Ewing out with 28. Charles Smith. That's for 2. 151 to 124.
They could use that guy out there for a little bit of defense. Walt Frazier, of course, returned the great era of the Knickerbockers and just truly a great basketball player.
1:30 remaining in regulation. And the Knicks will be down 2-0. Next game, Madison Square Garden. There's Stuart Gray for a couple.
Can you imagine if the Celtics really pushed the tempo? Because Jimmy Rogers wanted to make sure he controlled the tempo, and that's how easy it's been. It's, you know, I haven't seen many summer league games where teams have been able to score it easier.
151-126. Joe Klein. Everything is falling. Klein has 8. And we're in the final minute. Jackson taken away by Charles Smith. The lead to Gamble. Behind the back, Michael Smith.
3 Knicks never got across half court defensively.
.156 is a playoff record for points scored in the NBA. And the Boston Celtics will have a chance.
They'll get it.
Not yet.
They'll still have another try.
Seconds to go.
What do you think? Think he'll get it?
Yep.
This is pressure.
Maybe not. 58 points off the Boston bench today.
This is it.
See if this goes.
Yes! Got it! Whoa!
A new scoring record as well as a victory for the Boston Celtics. We'll go back to our New York studios after this message.
Hi, everybody. I'm Pat O'Brien, once again back in our New York studios, and welcome to the basketball show between games here in New York. So the Boston Celtics set a record. They beat the Knicks. They're up 2-0 in the series, and really make a statement. They've now won 26 games in a row against the New York Knickerbockers in the Boston Garden. It's doubleheader day here on CBS, and coming up shortly is the Indiana Pacers and the world champion Detroit Pistons, live from the Palace at Auburn Hills. And for a report on that, there's James Brown. James?
All right, Pat, thank you very much. And slow-filling crowd here at the Palace in Auburn Hills, getting set for Game 2 of the contest today between Detroit and Indiana. Detroit won Game 1 comfortably by 12 points, and that was a pleasant surprise for most of the followers of Detroit because they were wondering whether or not the Pistons had the intensity necessary to try and repeat. Well, Jim Gray is standing by with head coach Chuck Daly, and I'm sure he'll pose that question about the level of intensity. Jim?
JB, thank you very much. Chuck, the level of intensity seems to have kicked in quite a bit here. How much pressure are you starting to feel about repeating?
Oh, I don't know that we're feeling any particular pressure. The only pressure is the game at hand, and this particular series, I think if you start thinking beyond that, you're going to make a major mistake.
The game at hand, there seems to be some verbal jabs going back and forth between the teams. Is there some bad blood now between the Pacers and the Pistons?
Oh, I have no idea. The local newspaper stated something about Reggie Miller, but I don't think anything to do with us. It doesn't matter. You got to play it on the court.
Okay, Chuck, I know your valet's waiting to dress you. You would never show up for a game like that.
That's what assistant coaches are for, right?
Let's go back to James Brown.
All right, Jimmy, we're certainly the fireworks have begun. Chuck Person playing the part of Muhammad Ali. They're going to need all of that in their contest today with the Pistons. We'll have more of the basketball show coming your way after this.
By Trent about this baseball team, they actually caught the ball when the other guys hit it.
It's our game. We love to see it, share it, and talk about it. The new AT&T Universal Card helps make it all possible.
Now, I know that you guys can make this dream a reality for me. Huh?
It's Visa or MasterCard and the power of AT&T.
Show them what we can do today.
The AT&T Universal Card. One world, one card.
Listen to my nephew. He's going to be a lawyer like me. He's even going to look like me.
Oh, really? So does that mean on his first big trial day, the jury's going to notice his winning smile?
Yeah.
And his great suit.
Yeah.
Oh, his little flakes.
No, dandruff? Me?
Oh, it can happen to perfect people. Here, just use my shampoo.
Head and shoulders. But you don't have dandruff.
I rest my case.
Head and Shoulders, because you never get a second chance to make a first impression.
Why don't you love me like you used to do? Commitment. What did she call the last 11 months? My hair still curly and my eyes still blue. That's the way she wants it. Hey, if she can go her way, we'll go our way. You know what I mean?
One day it could all come down to a few inches. For those few inches, it's good to know you have Goodyear tires.
You think someone's trying to tell us something up there?
That's why we say the best tires in the world have Goodyear written all over them.
She gets another shot.
Celtics win it big, 157-128 to take a 2-0 edge in this best-of-5 series. Our Miller Lite player of the game, Kevin McHale. Light Beer proud to present a check for $1,000 on behalf of Kevin McHale to the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. And Leslie Visser is standing by with Kevin right now. Leslie?
Kevin, you guys may be old, but it didn't show today.
Yeah, we played pretty well today. Got out there. It was a hot gym. Everybody asked us yesterday, you know, it's going to be hot in there, you know, you guys will be able to handle it and everything else. Well, it's hot for both teams. You know, we're old in age, but a lot of times we can get young and playing.
What about the Knicks defensively? Could you sense their breakdown in their half-court defense?
Well, they tried to scramble a little bit more. We knew they were going to come in and run and really try to put the tempo on us and try to run us out of there, you know, get their game going and really try to stir up, you know, a lot of mistakes on our part. We were pretty disciplined tonight, ran ourselves, we were opportunistic. So you could feel their defense breaking down, but they took a lot of chances tonight. You know, against a good, solid team, those chances sometimes come back and hurt you.
What adjustments would you expect down in New York?
I imagine they're going to look at it and you know, either they're going to try to do one or two things. They're going to try to do the same thing they did today, which is up-tempo, run it, try to easy baskets, or they're going to pull back and say, hey, let's just try to beat them in a half-court game. Let's try to get the ball to Patrick a little more, spread it out, you know, whatever. But, you know, the nucleus of this team has seen a lot of that. I mean, we've been played every which way in the playoffs and stuff, and we're not that concerned. You know, we're going to have to go out there and play well. We know that one game does not a series make. We still got one more game to win, and the last game is always the toughest.
Great. Thank you, Kevin. Back to you, Vern.
All right, Leslie. Kevin McHale, 31 points on 12 of 15 from the field. He had 10 rebounds, including 4 off the offensive boards. Boston wins it big, 157-128. They have a 2-0 edge in the best-of-5 series. We'll be back in just a moment. Boston Celtics win it 157-128. Billy Cunningham outside the Knick locker room. Bill?
With me, Vern, is Gerald Wilkins. Gerald, is the team mad, angry?
There's no question, Billy. We had a terrible game today. You have to give credit to the Celtics, though. They played excellent basketball. They did what many basketball teams can't do, and they just executed offensively as well as defensively, and they just took us out of everything we wanted to do, and they just literally kicked our butts today.
Do you think you have any chance to come back in the next game?
Oh, yeah, definitely. We have a chance. It's at home, and we have a chance to redeem ourselves. I feel that if we have any heart, we'll come out and we'll get the job done. We have to bring it back here for one last try. We can't go out the way we did tonight and on Monday.
Well, thank you very much, Gerald. Back to you, Vern.
Okay, Billy. So for Billy Cunningham and Leslie Visser, this is Vern Lundquist saying so long from Boston Garden, where our final score, the Celtics 157 over the Knicks 128.